So, to jump over to the news,
Hey, it's good this week, right? It's good news
many things
after
happen.
last week.
Yeah, well, about that. Um, guess what?
What?
Every single week, it's bad news forever.
Oh man.
Uh, yeah. So there's a couple things that happened, but in this case, the old axiom about standing still while your opponents in the video game industry trip over their dicks
Just kill themselves. Just commit suicide.
continues to be true indefinitely and forever. Sony says that physical disc production will be ending in January 2028 for new games releasing on PlayStation consoles. This obviously leads to everyone going, hey, go f yourself. Owning a physical disc is important because you don't want to be, you don't want to have shit taken away from you that you own and that you want to be able to use for future-proof reasons, right? The audacity is doubled down, of course, because this is happening the same week that they announced that the Vita and PS3 digital stores will be shutting down. And this is also 1 week after they quietly killed off a bunch of people's purchased movies because people who owned anything that had a license agreement with Studio Canal, so movies like Terminator 2, Moonlight, Hot Fuzz, etc., were deleted off of people's consoles even though they purchased them from the PlayStation Store. So simultaneously, you have them saying, hey, it's fine, we're going to be going all digital, and you're used to that because, oh, Steam and other things have been all digital for a while and so on, while at the exact same time you're watching them taking away things that people have bought and shutting down existing old stores so that you cannot access old media anymore. When I saw this announcement, it's the kind of thing that you can imagine them just looking at the numbers and looking at something like Steam and going, yeah, see, doesn't matter, who cares? If they were to say something to the effect of, again, to give them the most reasonable thing here, if they were to say, hey, everyone's buying digitally and physical sales are down, well, yeah, obviously they are. No shit, right? So if they were to say something to the effect of, we will not be producing as many, the numbers are going to reflect the sales or something to that effect, that is a unfortunate reality, but one that I think is understandable. But I think every time you see an option like this pop up where you can take away the ability for people to own something that they can then use in the future to access a product, you know that it's simply for the anti-consumer reason that we want an easier time selling this to you in the future, and that is made really simple by taking it away from you and making sure that when you think you bought something, you don't actually own it. It's kind of just, it's a move that is like, while PC has not been pushing physical as a thing for a long time now, the fact that consoles still did have that was something that was good about it. It was a genuine,
It was good, yes.
it was a genuinely like strong aspect to the as an alternative to PC, that you still had the ability to do this. And as I've said many times before, but like, you know, I still do have physical old things that I want to hold on to because you never know when the fuck you might need them. I dug up fucking Steel Battalion the other day and popped that shit in and used it. You know, I never want to get rid of things that I know I might not have access to again in the future, or rely on, even worse, the company to either decide how to port it, if they're going to port it, and whether or not they're going to port it like in the format I played it long ago, or do some shit like they did to Front Mission 3 and have it all slopped up in garbage, right? You want
Wonderful.
You want the thing that you currently own to be the thing that you can enjoy in the future. Simple as.
What a bunch of stupid shit. So like, I've been having this conversation for like 5 days now, since it happened right after the end of the podcast, and I'm really torn on it in a large number of reasons. One, it's incredibly obvious that Sony just wants more control over your purchases. And we can now confirm this because a bunch of developers were like, wait, what, including first party Sony developers.
Kojima is lamenting the loss of physical media,
right,
and everything. Yeah,
like nobody knew they were gonna fucking do this. It was like out of nowhere decision. And you can still order discs, but the discs have to be for games that released prior to 2028 when they're gonna stop it. And I feel like this is just a push towards the PlayStation 6 not having a disc drive. I think that's fairly clear. And this obviously sucks for people who buy games on sale, because physical release games have much better sales than digital games. I can't possibly even pretend that this affects me in the slightest, as I have not bought a physical box for a game since 2012. Once.
Okay.
I am a primarily PC player, and the last PC game I bought physically was New Vegas.
Okay.
On release.
I still do on occasion, usually special editions of things, or things that I particularly like care about or want a thing of. Like Street Fighter 6, I have physical. There's a couple of things from time to time, but yeah, for sure. Not to mention the job we do, which is playing games a lot,
playing lots of games a lot,
involves owning 99% of them digitally. That much is clear. We live in that world. For me, and if making decisions reflecting the sales and or reflecting the market, is again a predictable manner. But you don't want to assume, because that's not the case, that it's simply that input output. It's just a matter of the reflection of what is sold. And when we know the reality is that it's about taking power away from the consumer. It's about being anti-consumer.
Yeah,
absolutely. It's about giving you no option to play something after a limited period of time. It's about hoping that you lean into things like streaming services and or games as a service overall, and the ability to resell you the same thing you already own is gone when you are like, nah, I'm just gonna go pop in the old thing. Like, we know that. So this is always being done for shitty reasons. And like, I just know, and I know that like, it's not a popular option, but the fact that it remains an option is important. And I think that should continue to be something. And I'm always someone who, again, for the sake of preservation or for whatever else, I want games to be able to exist in a cabin in the woods scenario. I don't want it to be this thing that you must be online and you must be in this particular country and you must be doing so between the hours of this and this from this year to this year. Right? We're going to talk about Tokon in a second and how they're fucking making it impossible for PC players to play.
What slam dunk from every direction of this bad decision.
It's so insane and stupid, but hey, guess what? Sony learned nothing from their Helldivers 2 situation, because they're doing the same thing to Tokon and saying, if you want to play the PC version of this, you have to do so with a PSN account, and the PSN account that is not available in 132 countries means no fucking PC version for you, even though it can and clearly would run no problem otherwise. You're using the extra sign up shit to region lock people out for no fucking reason, right? And the willingness to do so, because to force the signups or whatever, is an incentive enough for them to make these types of decisions. It's absolute dog shit, and it feels like they're just speed running the ire of everybody.
Absolutely,
in a matter of 7 days. It's kind of crazy.
So almost 15 years ago, Matt and I did an interview with, I think, somebody at the Toronto Star in the newspaper. And that's where I first described the game industry as an industry of failure. And what we were talking about then and there was the Xbox One's online only plans. And we're all the way fucking back here in 15 years. Now,
how to lend the game to your friend.
There are differences here, right? The first difference is I actually believe Sony when they say like 85+% of games are bought digitally. I believe that. That seems like a reasonable thing.
That reflects your life.
And from a pure number-based like reality, like, yeah, okay, I can understand why you'd say, oh, most people don't buy physical games, why not? But the main thing that exists in a culture of I trust Sony not to actively fuck me over really bad. Now, I think games are a little bit more safe than film, as Sony has a lot more control
Christ.
over games on their platform than they do films on their platform.
Yeah, I mean, that's already over, by the way. Like owning content is like owning watchable content is like fucking done. Yeah.
I think I'm in a weird position where I'm of the agreement that this is like legitimately terrible. Like, this is awful. And also this is so that like you can't pick up God of War Ragnarok for $24 because Walmart has to clear the shelf space and they order too many copies of God of War Ragnarok.
Or that you can't buy it secondhand after the fact.
Right. And at the same time, like, one of the things that I've been seeing is that people say, well, this sucks because of this and this sucks because of this. And like, I feel like a lot of those battles were already lost and most people didn't know it. So when people talk about preservation, right, this will screw up like game preservation. And in my mind, I'm like, game preservation is already ruinously obtuse. Like, no game releases finished anymore. The on-disc version of the game is a relic before you unwrap it. And like, that does have some preservatory value by itself, right? As like the weird fucking unpatched version.
Yeah, day one updates though. Yeah.
But like, day zero updates, day one updates, expansions, whatever, like, that is like the only way to actually catalog this is to criminally infringe upon the copyright and just do version control yourself, which the company doesn't even go through the process of version control. Sometimes they don't even go through version control when the game is live, which we've talked about on this podcast, and when people massively fuck it up.
Fortunately, people are still willing to do it though.
Yes.
You know?
On top of that, the other thing is that the preservation issue with games is such that games still exist in a non-transferable medium. So if you have, because physical preservation of media has always been a problem. Like, you look at film and how film in its original state just loves to burst into flame. Like, classic film reels will just spontaneously combust into 5-alarm fires that will destroy buildings. So, okay, that's a problem. And you eventually hit the point where a film can be digitally transferred and shared and stockpiled and whatnot. And so now we have the ability to turn any film from any time to any way into a digital thing that can be transferred, copied, file changed, etc. Blah, 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 right? With limited exceptions, like, say, the old reboot tapes, which required specialized machinery to convert whatever proprietary nonsense they had into a digital format. But once you hit that digital format, it's fundamentally forever. It'll always be able to be transferred in software.
But the D1 tapes were like, yeah, there were 3 machines in North America that could fucking read them.
But you look at the NES, and like, yeah, there's a lot of Nintendo Entertainment and Famicoms out there. Those things have definitive shelf lives. And they have definitive shelf lives post-repair processes. You look at, I'll use something that's near and dear to your heart, Dreamcast games. You want to play legit Dreamcast games on original hardware? Assuming you have everything legit and every part pristine, that shit's just going to fall to fucking shit in a couple of years of regular use. So you have to be able to take NES games, Super Nintendo games, Saturn games, Atari games, Jaguar games, etc., and you need to put them into an emulated, accurate digital format. And there's no push for that because, well, a lot of companies were absolutely insane in the 90s and just burned it all and threw them all away. But also the idea that they could keep them to their chest and then resell them to you later.
Yes. Now, the thing is though, I will say that, like, it is true that, like, as the mediums have progressed, we've seen the limitation of things like a NES cartridge that just literally fucking dies on you, or shitty GD-ROMs that are not reliable because the laser for them is so precise that any slight scratch means you can no longer use it. That shit sucks, right? But what ultimately matters in the end is if you digitize that data and you have it in a place that is off of a store that can be accessed offline, then it's preserved. That's what ultimately matters at the end of the day, is making sure that it is not in a place where the company walks up to you and says, I'm going to hold the iPad and I'm going to press play and you can watch it and then I'm going to walk away. Right? Having it in a place where the actual data exists and whether it's in a physical format or whether people have it stored online or whatever the case is, upload it to fucking archive.org. We need to have access to that. That's the bottom line of it. And like, even as a losing battle, it's a case where the principle matters. I think personally, I think that it's worth fighting that. I know that that shit gets also more and more ridiculous as we move towards games that are going to be fucking a terabyte worth of data. You know, sometimes you're looking at something where they're like, how are we supposed to physically put Grand Theft Auto on one disc or whatever? You know what I mean? Storage medium limitations is a part of this conversation as well.
It's really fascinating how Grand Theft Auto 6 came out and said we're digital only. And I assume they want to be digital only for all the reasons that are, we don't want Grand Theft Auto 6 to ever go on sale under any context. And the PlayStation Store changed everything about it to be like, it's the Grand Theft Auto fucking show, right? And as soon as the disc thing was announced, the PlayStation Store just reverted back to the original one without the Grand Theft Auto 6 promotion. Now, either that was Sony somebody realizing that like maybe pushing this specific thing with GTA 6 is too much, or the idea that GTA 6 is going digital only gave them the free pass to do this, because that last 15% of people that don't buy games digitally are going to buy Grand Theft Auto 6 digitally. So then they'll be in. But yeah, it's fascinating.
We've been doing this long enough that we're more than used to the hyper normalization of shitty practices just becoming like, you don't bat an eye at them anymore, right? Always going to talk about how the difference between microtransaction world that we live in, where you're now like going, oh, the microtransaction isn't so bad, versus 600 podcasts ago when we were saying Brood Wars expansion packs are the only reasonable way to sell to the consumer again, versus like cutting piecemeal out of the final product and reselling it to them after the fact, right? Or Street Fighter Cross Tekken bullshit, where you literally made it and then took it away from them before you sold them the game.
No, man, that one's still probably like the worst ever.
Disgusting, and that'll always be disgusting. But it doesn't change the fact that you wait long enough, and then it doesn't matter, because we've been doing this forever. And if you're playing mobile games, then you're already used to having zero control over any of this shit. You're used to games as a service. You're used to booting up to a loading screen that doesn't work anymore. You're used to all of this being a transient, temporary experience.
You know,
it's garbage, but like, it doesn't, I guess, again, it doesn't change the fact that like, it's still something that you gotta push for and resist the loss of your ability as a consumer for as long as possible with these types of things. You know, I'm looking at a post where Sony puts up a thing promoting the new arcade stick they're releasing, and they're doing some cool stuff with that or whatever, and they're like, hey, yeah, you can change with the flex strike, you can change the gate by just flipping it over. And the first tweet underneath it is just Mighty Keith going, reverse the physical digital media decision, fuck nigga. Like, just him, and everyone's like, he said it. Get him, Keith. Get him. You know, like, people are rightfully mad about this, and they should continue to be, because yeah, we know that you fast forward a couple years and you have zero fucking rights, you have zero ownership over shit, and like, the more aggressive they can get about this, the more they're gonna take, the worse it's gonna get. But if you make it painful at every step of the way, you can get victories sometimes over this type of shit. I think it's worth fighting for. I think it's worth fighting a losing battle. I do.
I completely agree, 100%. And as I've said for many, many, many years, that, you know, the game industry is an industry of failure. So all you have to do to surpass your competition is not kill yourself, right? Just don't do it. Just never kill yourself.
Don't ever kill
and you'll
yourself.
do fine in the games business, right? So with Sony pissing everybody the fuck off crazy bad with a long-term god-awful decision, All right, Microsoft, what do you got for me this week? Is it nothing?
I wouldn't call thousands of employees nothing. I wouldn't quite say that. No.
Here they come with, hey, guess what? You listening are fired.
Did you know? Did you know you were fired from Microsoft?
I woke up that morning with DMs from people before the news broke going, I am fired.
I just, like, it was rumored, but it was the hardest confirmed rumor, I think, ever, given the nature of these things where they try to sneak it up on people. And yeah, I think this is the biggest single culling event in the video game industry's history.
It is not. Do you know why it's not?
Why is it
because
not?
They've split the layoffs into two. There's approximately 1,600 that got laid off the other day. And there will be 16-ish hundred that get laid off within the year. So it's not the largest layoffs in games industry history, unless you use your brain.
Sure, on technicalities, what the fuck ever. Anyway, Xbox has fired the most people in a video game layoff that has ever happened.
There is so much here that I couldn't even compile it. They fired a bunch of people off the id Tech technical team. The people who make id Tech game technology, the smartest people in the entire games business. They've gutted Elder Scrolls Online's team, including their cybersecurity guys, for a fucking MMO. Every Obsidian's getting cuts, I believe. Bethesda proper is getting cuts off the fucking Elder Scrolls and Fallout teams, but no numbers there.
So here's how
there are 5 businesses they're just cutting loose.
So here's how bad. This is how you know it's bad. Every time I look back at the story, the number increases.
Yeah.
The first number I saw was 1,600 employees being cut immediately, and then I looked away and I looked again, and it said 3,200 employees are parting ways, and they're being laid off in phases. And then I looked away and I looked again, and the new headline as of right now is 4,800 jobs.
Oh, okay. Well, I
are
guess,
ending. So, like, we're actively doing the bit where I can't believe 6,000 people got fired. It's crazy that 8,000 people got fired. Can you believe 10,000 jobs are just let go like that? 20,000 redundancies out of control.
The people that I spoke to the other day were very blunt in that they were like, I legitimately do not know how X or Y studio is not going to just self-destruct under the expectations times staff remaining that they have been saddled with. Like they are being expected just to continue as business as usual, with some departments being essentially empty.
Yeah,
just gone.
Hey, keep the boat going and see we'll deal with the water that's piling in and the people that are not rowing where they're supposed to be when we get to that problem. Right.
On top of that, they say that they want 1 billion players a day, which is approximately 350 times their current market reach, which means that was a number that they chose because big number and not an actual real number.
I don't know if you've seen the business world framing of this, but the discussion has been essentially that Microsoft has failed to establish itself as a major player in the artificial intelligence world, while companies like Anthropic and OpenAI are increasingly tailoring their tools for business and productivity.
Yeah, obviously, yeah.
Yeah. So,
I saw, I think it was Chris Wolfhart who described it as the entire reason for Microsoft just cutting off their own pound of flesh is that the acquisition of Activision Blizzard went from Xbox requires a little bit of money to keep going to you guys spent like 70-80 fucking billion dollars on acquisitions. Where's the fucking money at the end of the fucking quarter? Are you fucking nuts? Was reading a Bloomberg article today that despite the fact that Xbox spent 70 fucking billion grabbing Call of Duty essentially and Candy Crush, most people buy Call of Duty on a fucking PlayStation.
Yeah.
Like that needle didn't move for shit.
The closest thing to a bronze lining on this story is it, like, the fact that any studios are figuring out how to spin themselves off and save themselves independently as opposed to just being culled the way this usually goes is nice, because as we've known for a long time, if you follow the trail of EA and Activision Blizzard King, etc., over the years, you know, and Nintendo to some degree, if you go back far enough, you know, you get acquired, you become second party, you get murdered, down you go. You do too good, you do too well, you get too noticed, you get bought, then you get killed to make quarterly numbers meet. And there goes the end of a good thing. So I fully expected when this was coming around the corner that everything associated with Microsoft was going to be just burnt in a fire and no looking back on that. But if anything can salvage or survive, you know, by going independent or regaining their own contractual, you know, whatever independence.
It looks like
cool. Some
of those companies that fucking got let go instead of shut down for no reason may have dodged some fucking bullets, because at least they can get out of there and hope to fucking make their own way.
You have some competent teams of talented people that don't have to all go the fuck home because of some larger bullshit that has nothing to do with them.
Now, I think that Double Fine specifically does not have long to live. I have seen Double Fine burn its way through every dollar they ever made and just not finish their games multiple times in a row with Broken Age and Psychonauts, where the Microsoft acquiring them is the only reason they were able to finish Psychonauts. Double Fine doesn't know how to manage their books. And we're like relying on Microsoft owning them to not shut them down. So them being spun off means I think they have like one more project to not finish before they're gone.
Whatever the cost is, it's on them now. So they're independent, as is Compulsion. They're spinning off to be independent as well, while Ninja Theory and Undead Labs are transitioning to new management. Yeah, we must reset Xbox is the quote. What the fuck you reset it while you were saving, Sharma? It told you not to do that.
That I think fucking Copilot made these decisions. Like, genuinely. There appears to be like very little rhyme or reason to any of this. There are like specific pain points of like, this is a ridiculous place to cut. People off the technology side of id Software is like legitimately unbelievable. And then you discover that parts of Xbox were under 14 layers of management, which they even point out. And it's like, oh, that's why id Tech, despite being a Bethesda company, never got any of their incredible technology to other Bethesda studios or even technical support for other Bethesda studios, because they were siloed in under 5 bosses. And if you went across to help the Elder Scrolls Online guys or the Elder Scrolls guys or the Starfield guys, well, you're not maximizing value over at fucking id Tech for Doom. And it's like, but you could get huge results if you just had the top people in the world help other people at their thing. And
Shut
those guys
the fuck up and turn on the shadowing AI Copilot to stare at you do your job so you can trade it better. Shut up and train your AI replacement. It is mandatory.
Ain't no fucking AI is doing nothing with id tech, man.
Send in the report that tells us how you trained your AI replacement today.
John Carmack, when he built all that technology, was non-human, but that's not to say he was an AI. I mean, he was more than human when he designed all that shit.
Also his brother and the crazy shit he did as well after the fact.
Like the Carmack legacy of technological excellence, like, essentially dies here.
Man, this is actually, and the funny part too, and you know, in quotation marks, is that this is
right. AI will never replicate autism. It can't.
Too weak, AI. Too weak. Your power level is nowhere near what it needs to be. Oh my god, so true. Right? It's just, yeah, this intelligence isn't artificial. This is a different kind of AI. So this number is even bigger because you could, if you're counting the 9,000 people from last year, and the 7% of Microsoft staff were offered voluntarily retirement not long ago. I think we talked about that too, and 30% of eligible employees chose to participate. So there's ghost numbers that are also being padded silently here in terms of how many people actually walked, because the cut is just the people who chose not to take some of those packages. Plus, we're not counting, again, the slow, gradual, over a year ago numbers that were increasing to this.
I would like to give a shout out to friend of the show and cool person, Dat Asana, for pulling a specific quote from the Microsoft statement that I feel cannot be flown past, which is, quote, from the Xbox team, whatever the fuck. We have also learned that we are not the best home for every type of studio. In a typical year, we lost 64 cents for every dollar we invested, end quote. Just putting it out there flat, they are the worst managers in the games business. Just god-awful picks, god-awful choices on every step of the fucking board. What to make, who to buy. Just dog shit morons. Just fucking buffoons.
Well, now that we've found out that some of those management folks are members of the Peter Thiel Illuminati group, maybe they can get some management lessons while they're over there, while they're at it. Side story, side quest to the fucking main one. Yeah, yeah, go ahead.
What do they even fucking make anymore right now?
Dreams,
like
hopes,
that's what I'm kind of left with.
Memories, the idea of a Game Pass, a gun and a ball, a whisper and a prayer.
Because here's the thing, it also came out that like Asha, I think that's her name, the new lady who was running Xbox, is like, we're like very tech startup, we're here to get messy and break things and, you know, all that nonsense,
disruption,
and we got to move fast and make decisions fast, right? And I'm like, decisions in the games business take minimum 4 years to do anything, unless it's fire. That's the only thing that can have a quarterly impact. Everything else has to be like super long term.
Oh no, firing will take place while you have your lunch in your mouth mid-shoot.
Yeah.
But in the meantime, like, ready, fire, aim.
Like, there's only so many quarters you can just cut and fire. Like, we're running into what I guess in my brain just titled this like the Embracer Group like hustle, which is buy company, tell them to make something, and that thing will make a lot of money. Wait, what do you mean it'll take more than 6 months? Oh shit, it costs money to fire them. Take massive loss. And produce nothing.
Yeah, or even just like bank your entire income and on this new transitional like absolute bubble that's not going to last. And when the chickens come home to roost on it, just blame everyone else and say things like you're going to reset Xbox. Like, I don't know what this looks like afterwards, but this, they're talking about like we have to find ourselves and you know, go back to the beginning and then all this shit or whatever. And you're like, are you even a company after this? Are you just going to is this a brand at all anymore? Or are you just using the name to refer to what's left of your games business, and then ultimately, again, maybe we can push AI harder this time, you know?
So moving ahead with game industry decisions take a long time. Project Helix, aka the next Xbox, is, from what I can tell, full steam ahead, despite the cost increase for components being astronomical compared to when they made those plans. And so we're gonna kick down what, fucking $1,200 USD Xbox with fucking what on it? Like legit, like with what? I have watched
with Steam installed.
I have watched Microsoft buy Call of Duty but not dare make it exclusive, and also Call of Duty suffer its biggest year-over-year loss ever as soon as Microsoft bought it. Doom just took a massive hit, like, but id Software, okay. Halo Infinite just ran itself right into the fucking ground. Nobody's excited for the new Gears of War. And once again, the new Elder Scrolls, like every year, the Elder Scrolls game is 4 years away. For like 10 years now.
Xbox gamers will have Uno and OD. And maybe Steam installed on their Xboxes.
I saw a tweet that was just flat out, I bet they were just itching to kill OD, but that press was just a little too hot.
Nuclear.
That one was
press.
just a little bit too hot to touch.
And Kojima's again currently blasting Sony for their choices, right? So while and look, Xbox is going to go on a spiritual journey, and at the end, they're going to increase the price of their existing models by $100 to $150.
And then they're going to increase the price of Game Pass, but also they're not going to put new games on Game Pass anymore. I'm just telling you that right now. That's the only way they can back out of this Game Pass shit, is they freeze it. And the distance between new release going on Game Pass gets longer and longer and longer and longer and longer.
And so
they have like mobile app store raced to the bottom of the fucking console market when the console costs $1,000. Like, just insane behavior.
And so the fuckers at Nintendo that shut down Miiverse and the eShop and all that stuff by just standing here talking about the latest Tetris 99 Star Fox promotion seem the most like sane in video games by virtue of not tripping over their dicks. Yep. Nintendo just standing around. With no...
Just like Mario.
Yep. And again, never forget the race to get everything off the eShop as they were dragging it to the recycling bin. Never forget that they don't give a fuck either. But in this particular moment in time, what are we doing? Anyway.
This shit's fucking crazy.
And that was your weekly video game segment. Video games suck.
Video games suck. You are fired.
Did you know you were fired, though?
You know what, man? I fucking did.
Okay.